Hey everybody, this is Reza.
This is Sandy.
Welcome back to episode 19 of the Stone Cold Sober podcast.
It's a absolutely gorgeous day, best day of the year thus far.
And it's a great day to stay inside and watch some NBA basketball. Playoffs, baby.
I played some Zog football this morning, or early this afternoon. It was at Roosevelt Island, one of those. I don't know if you've ever seen a map of New York City, but it's one of those tiny islands in between Manhattan and Queens.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that's where you played. So wait, how do you get there?
You ferry? Take the subway.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a stop right on the island.
Gotcha.
I knew the people on the other team. It was a lot of fun. They were winless. We were winless, but they scored 4 touchdowns on us. But it was just too nice of a day to get angry.
Yeah.
And it's really not that serious. Like some people take it super seriously, which is all well and good, But I'm just out there to have some fun, hang out with friends, be a little bit active, and then call it,
Yep.
But I ended up walking back home from 63rd Street in Lexington because it was just so nice out that I didn't want to walk home. I didn't want to take the subway home and get home immediately.
Yeah.
So it was about a little around 5 miles. Just sort of having my headphones on, bobbing and weaving out of the crowds.
Hold on. How long did it take you to get home? About an hour and a half?
Yeah, I want to say so. I'd say so.
Pull a good 2 or 3 CDs in on that one then, right?
Yeah, I listened to Wale, his new CD. This is the album about nothing. I have a really good rap playlist that I started moving some songs around because I could feel the ebbs and flows and whatnot. And when you're just walking around and just in the zone, you can you start to hear things about your playlist that you normally don't get to.
Like Bobby Schmurder.
I mean, Bobby always comes up. Bobby always comes up.
You hear the intricate metaphors that you didn't hear before. You hear oh my goodness, Bobby, you were killing it.
Bobby's dropping so much knowledge on me.
Is he?
No,
so much knowledge that he's ratting himself out. He and his boys out.
Yeah, right. Bobby Schmurder's hot nigga, and they got Fetty Wap's Trap Queen. Great song. Futuristic, the greatest. Like I said, he sounds like childish. A little bit of childish, a little bit of logic. Then Ray Shremmerd, Throw Some Mo. You know that song.
Mm-hmm.
Transition into The Dream. That's my shit. And then we do Janelle Monáe. Love Janelle. Yoga. I go into... and then I do Wale's The Matrimony. And then Rihanna's Bitch Better Have My Money. We're going down, but we're coming back up. You know what I mean?
I see.
We go down, we come back up.
If that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, but it was just I thought about going shopping, but then I was like, I don't need to buy anything, so I just bought some groceries, and I've already eaten a pound of the grapes in half an hour. So, good thing I bought 2 pounds. Said
yes.
I was gonna do that.
Good thing.
Yeah, but it was a really tough week for me. In terms of work. I was just pulling really late nights every night. With a few weeks ago, I was discussing how two of my bosses, my boss and my boss's boss, sort of left our team.
Yeah.
So we brought in someone else, and it was great because as a group, with his new insight, we were able to get over one of our major design humps.
Mm-hmm.
But that required just a lot of wiring and a lot of designs to get done. And I was just really excited because for a long time we were just talking about problems and solutions. But I'm more of a hands-on kind of guy. I need to see how designs actually look to see if they're solving our problem.
Yeah.
So I'm happiest when I'm heads down, just working away. And that sort of meant I was working until about 1 or 2, couple of nights, which is not ideal. But when but I like what I was doing, so it wasn't the worst in the world.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
If you gotta work late, it's obviously best if it's something that you enjoy.
Exactly. So and I got really good feedback from my colleagues and my group. They said I did a really good work, and not to push myself too hard, but I sort of only know one speed.
Full speed ahead.
Full speed ahead, yeah. So like it was nice to sort of take a little bit of a break on Friday night and like sort of like come home and relax and
Yeah.
and not sort of burn out as badly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know I was saying last week that I wanted to work on building out the case study portion of my portfolio, but sadly I wasn't able to get to it this week due to all the work that I did. But serendipitously, I met with a good friend of the podcast, Rob. Shout out to Rob. Shout out to Shamrock. I met him for lunch on Friday because our group's workspace is getting renovated. Well, they're finishing renovation of a different floor where we're moving to.
Yeah.
And they had to close off the office because they're moving all of our stuff down to the new floor. It's basically an open workspace. So sort of like how like everything that you see in all like the tech startups and whatnot, like everyone's like sitting next to each other. It's all super open and it's supposed to foster creativity and communication and all that yada yada.
Supposed to.
We'll see if it does. So office closed at 1, and I went to go see Rob for lunch, and we had Bauhaus, which is what Eddie Huang, the owner of, or the writer of Fresh Off the Boat and all that, and his stuff. That's his restaurant. So we had lunch there. I totally forgot that because I won our Madden tournament, that he owed me lunch.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, I'm buying you lunch." I was like, "Wait, why? I can totally buy lunch." He goes, "Nah, but I owe you lunch." I go, "Oh, I totally forgot about that. I guess you do owe me lunch."
Good man.
Yeah, I mean, Rob's the greatest. But he was just telling me about some things that how his company works. He recently left Ogilvy.
Yep.
And it was just really compelling, the stuff that he was showing me. So I was like, "Oh, this is really cool. Like, you're doing things that we're sort of doing. You're doing some things better than us. We're doing some things differently." But it was nice that he showed me his resume. Just to give me a sense of how to sort of redesign mine, because my resume is so like finance / marketing, like business oriented layout. Something that I created way back in college.
Yeah.
And all I've been doing thus far is sort of updating the data or like the points in it, but not so much actually like layout wise or sort of making it look really polished. So he showed me his, which was a great example, and that's really helped me sort of redesign mine. So while I wasn't able to create the case study layouts and templates that I wanted to this week, I was able to do that. So it's sort of like it's a nice solve. It's not like I wasted a week not doing anything.
Absolutely.
Because I hate to do that, because last week, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago, I made really good progress sort of building out my design process for my website. Something that a lot of UX guys it's like a mandatory have, because it's all about like what your thought process is that people are sort of looking at.
Yeah.
So that's nice that I was able to sort of update my resume and have that as another thing that I worked on this week. And then I'm thinking either tomorrow or later tonight I'll start my template work just because I'm feeling really excited and motivated to work on this kind of stuff right now. And you really want to sort of like strike while the iron is hot for as long as you can. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit of an update as to where we are with that.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the opportunities come at the most random times, and you sort of always want to be ready to take advantage of stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
so even if it is like a really beautiful day out, you you really should just put the time in for yourself because everything you're doing is for you.
Right.
That's how I see it. So
I hear you on that.
yeah, man.
I mean, I guess as far as my week went, I did look up the plagiarism case, not plagiarism, the image manipulation case that we discussed last week. I did like follow up with that a little bit this week, but I don't have too much of like a significant update. Basically, the woman who had done that review, she had written an open letter to the university that he teaches at, and they tried to kind of downplay it in a sense, say that because the conclusions of his papers have mostly been found to have been true, that the effects of his image manipulation they're not as severe as they could be. It's not exactly what they said. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but she had gone on to say, no, it really did impact people because he stole like fame and glory in a sense from people who would have published had he taken the time to do the proper work, which is true.
Yeah.
Or presumably true. Maybe they still would have been first to publish. I don't know, but she had just written an open letter to them saying that that's not true, and just kind of replied to what they had said, and that's all I really know about that case right now. They're just still doing their little investigations and all. This week was an interesting week for me. I actually, speaking of resumes, I had gone over and revamped my resume a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And I've been talking with my advisor to see if I can find an internship because as part of my fellowship that I have to do an internship, not to mention the fact that I just want to do an internship.
Yeah.
So as Lena knows, I've been really slacking when it comes to it. She'll like ask me almost every single day, oh, have you applied to internships, blah, blah, blah. And I don't really have a great answer for why I procrastinate it
Blah
the
blah
way I
blah.
do.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
I don't have a good reason for why I delay it. I guess it's just because I feel like there's so many other things that are really important that I need to get done throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, I just want to turn down, and just chill out and do whatever.
Yeah.
Which it's not a great excuse. I know that. But
I mean, it's tough. It's tough after a long day's work.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's always that I'll be working on some type of project with some collaborator. I mean, it happens all the time too. It's like, why do we procrastinate things in general? Because I know there's plenty of times at work where I could be doing I could be a lot more productive than I am. I might be like talking with you or looking at some video or looking at Reddit. And it's not till that deadline starts to creep up on you that you're like, all right, I need to just grind out real hard right now. And especially like in grad school when there's no real hard deadlines for a lot of things other than when I'm working with other people for other collaborations. Or if there are projects that I'm working on where there's no urgency of being scooped by other labs. So I approached my advisor about a month and a half ago, I think, and I asked him if he could help me find an internship. We'd talked about it before, so he emailed my resume out to a few of his friends at a few different companies across the U.S. So there's one out in San Francisco, this company out in Indiana, another one here in Delaware, there's one out in Iowa. And at the same time this week, I also applied to a few different companies as well. See what we can find. It's a bit late. So like some of the people that we heard back from, they already have like they have their programs in place with their interview process. They get like hundreds of applicants. They have one position available. They get very competitive. But we did hear back positively from somebody. So I'm actually going to be having an interview with one of their directors of the programs out there. And so we'll see. It's just an on-the-phone interview. Just tell her a little bit more about myself and all. So I'm doing that on Monday. So I'm hoping that goes well. That one's out in San Francisco. So that'd be a bit of a change of scenery for me.
Yeah, that's something that I think would be a really awesome opportunity for you to check out. Just being on the different coast.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that I've spent the last, 20 years of my life in school.
Yeah.
And I have very little experience with actual corporate life, the corporate world in general. I've obviously I've had a few internships when I was an undergrad. I've had a couple, part-time jobs here and there, but I've never like, it's just a complete different change. Even like going from undergrad and like going from high school to college and college to undergrad or to grad school. There are different like transitions and things that are important for you to work on. Obviously, like for your all your primary school and then into college, it's all about just homework. There's very little projects where people actually apply. They use the stuff that you work on. In grad school, people do use the stuff that I'm working on, and that a lot of that stuff goes into papers that I get published in my name, which is very cool. But then if I go and work for a company, I'm trying to work on a project that has like, in my mind at least, has like some type of hard deadline. It needs to be marketable. It needs to make money for the company, and that kind of excites me. So I'm really hoping that this opportunity is like, I'm hoping that they like me, but I also hope that I like what they're doing, so that way we can move forward with some type of opportunity. So if all goes well, I presume I'll be away for just about all the summer. So we'll guess like June to August.
I think it'll be a great opportunity for you to check out what that type of culture is like.
Yeah,
Like you said, it's something new for you, and I think that I think it'll definitely be a nice change of pace.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, what are the next steps again
For this particular one,
for that particular one? Yeah.
yeah. So I have a phone interview on Monday.
Oh wow.
So yeah, my advisor is friends with like the vice president of the company, one of their departments, and there's another woman who's in charge of another department, and she needs supposedly she needs an intern, somebody to work on a project. I don't know the details of the project. I don't know what they're looking for, so I'll get that information on Monday. So that will be the next step right now. I don't know if there'll be like a more formal like Skype interview with other people involved in the project. I don't know if it's just gonna be her. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. My advisor, he'd written me a really awesome recommendation. So
That's amazing. That's always really helpful
yeah,
to have someone like your advisor or like a mentor of sorts to sort of spearhead things for you.
yeah. And like I talked about it earlier in the podcast, how I told you, I always feel like I think it's called imposter syndrome. I think it's an actual like term where you just don't feel like you really belong. You feel like you feel like even though you're at a particular level, you're in a particular place, you've almost tricked people into believing that you're smart, like you're an equal. And like I have that. I always feel like that every single day. And it's not till I like kind of just put everything aside. I just kind of clear my mind and I start working, or I start speaking. I start talking about the things that I know, that I kind of surprise myself. I'm like, wow, I really know a lot more than I thought I knew.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something that I think you like you and I, like we both sort of have that feeling.
Yeah.
So I think it's just something that you'll shed as time goes on.
Yeah, I think so. And when you see that kind of validation from your advisor, like I've been working with him for the last 4 years. It's impossible to trick someone that long, right? And when you see like the recommendation that he writes for me,
You're killing it.
I'm just saying, man, makes you feel good.
Go and
Makes you
brush your
feel
shoulders
good.
off. No, I hear you. I'm feeling that from time to time as well. Just knowing that, the more you've immersed yourself in the work that you do, the more you sort of inherently begin to understand everything. So, because in
Yeah.
the beginning, a lot of it was just memorization, right? Just like,
Hmm.
oh, you got to memorize this and that, and then you find it like, oh, why are we doing things this way and that way? Just sort of that brute memorization doesn't really mean you understand things. But now that you've sort of fully immersed yourself in the work and in what you study, that it becomes sort of innate and second nature. And
Yeah.
I think that's the key,
Yeah.
because that's where you get this really show like your true understanding by taking what you know and now inherently understand and start to create new things.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, I've been doing a lot of reading on the weekends, just like sort of things about my industry and design practices and all that. So I'm trying to learn like a more holistic approach to things. It's
Hmm.
like how everyday things are designed, human based design, and like it's sort of like the anthropological evolution of what makes like why we do certain things. Just sort of like getting as much of a holistic view as possible. But you know what? Like I said before, it's one of those things where you have to put in the time now, uh, because a it's sort of like your job, but there's no better time to get inherently acquainted with what you are doing. Uh, I think that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, I was like, I'm just talking, and it's like the your train of thought is boarding at the station. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah. What else? What else happened this week? Oh, so it was like Thursday night,
Hmm.
Wednesday night, Thursday night. I think it was Wednesday night, and I was just working really late to like I want to say like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and I get a call because I end up going out to drinks with a friend, like another designer friend who was also working really late.
Yeah.
So she goes, "Oh, I just need to get a drink." It's like, "Oh, I'll come with you for a little bit." I literally live really close, so it's really not an issue, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then we were just chilling and what have you, and then I get a call from my dad, and my dad was just very upset because I think he got into a fight with my mom. Um, and then that sort of like took the wind out of my sails because I was doing a lot of work, like doing a lot of really good work,
Yeah.
and then like that was all I was really thinking about, and it's all I have been thinking about for about a minute now. And then to have that sort of come out of to me out of like left field,
Yeah. Absolutely.
that that will like it's one of those moments where like everything for me came to a grinding halt because I had to deal with this and sort of this to me was more important than anything else. Uh, so that was very emotionally heavy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Just dealing with the fallout because it's always interesting, right? Like how you deal with uh with your folks because like your parents will always like find yourself in disagreements or arguments from time to time.
Hmm.
And you get better. You definitely get better with how you react to it. Maybe um, as you get older, ideally you get better at it. But it's still one of those things where every so often you get hit with that, and it's just you. It's tough, man. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it just makes you realize like what's really important in life, I guess, right?
Absolutely. It's like losing focus on things.
Hmm.
Uh, it can
It's
be.
like very easy to get distracted with work. With I guess so. I'm sitting here thinking like you obviously have a very strong connection with your family. Like there's always that really strong bond. It's kind of crazy how when something happens in your family or even just in the lives of like close friends, how quickly that can bring things to just a halt
Oh, absolutely.
for in every other aspect of your life and just kind of have to reevaluate everything.
Yeah. Um, so it was very much a grounding moment for me.
Yeah.
Um, have you and Elena discussed any trips you guys are going on soon or?
Yeah, so we are planning on going to England, September 8th to the September 22nd.
Oh, that's awesome.
So her family is most of her family's out there. She was actually born in England, but moved here when she was a baby. So she has a lot of her roots are out there. So for the last we've been dating each other for 3 years. For the last about 2.5 years, she's been trying to convince me to go to England with her, and She usually goes there every year in the summers, and she buys her tickets pretty early, like maybe late mid to late winter, like February. Maybe she'll buy her tickets. And for me to make that commitment, like every single year, I've always been like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to be doing this summer. I might be doing an internship. I might be doing this or that. And this year I was kind of just like, you know what? If I really want to go, I'll just make it work. So if I get an internship, and this happens to be the year that I'm planning on actually doing an internship, whereas all the other years have passed without anything, or without any internship at least. I just decided, you know what? Let's do it. So, the plan is that, and we're still trying to work out the details, but she's been to England almost every year since she was a kid, and she's never been to Paris, which is just a train ride away. You hop on a train in London, and you can go to Paris.
Yeah.
But every time
it's a beautiful train station, by the way, that you arrive in Paris. It's like, I don't want to ruin it, but just remember, just be prepared that everything in Paris is bigger than you've ever thought it was.
Interesting. So I've never been to the airports in Europe, but I've never been to Europe. Like I've never been out the airports. So I'm really excited for the trip in general, just to see stuff. But I also get to meet a lot of her family, like her dad's out there, her aunt and uncle who I've met both of, they're out there. But she also has some other aunts and uncles on her dad's side who I've never met, cousins and all that. So it'll be really nice to do that. And so we'll probably spend time with her family for about a week, and then we'll do Paris and London and a few other cities, I think.
That's really good balance.
The other week. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out how we'll work it out. In terms of so we're not sure if we want to go. So we'll fly into London, right? She's from Birmingham, which is about, I think, a 2-hour drive from London. Now we're gonna have
the Netflix show Peaky Blinders took place in Birmingham.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. I need to watch that show. I meant to watch it.
It's a great show. Great show.
So we can go to Birmingham initially, but here's the big problem. What are we gonna do with our bags? So. I just don't want to have to travel around with more than what we really need. So it would be nice if we could drop off I think we're gonna share a checked luggage each. Well, we'll share one checked luggage, and then we'll have our own personal bags, like a carry-on, and then our personal bags.
Okay.
But I just don't want to have to be lugging too much around, from London to Paris and then Paris back to London and all. It'd be nice if we could just take our carry-on.
I think that'll depend on what sort of bag style you use. Like, are you more of a duffel bag kind of? You are a duffel bag guy.
Well, so I'll have a duffel bag. That'll be my carry-on. But then we'll have a much bigger suitcase.
Gotcha.
And I think she uses. I'm not sure what she'll use as her carry-on. To be honest, I think she'll use kind of a duffel bag as well.
Okay.
But just in terms of going to the train station and having to go, to and from it's not a big deal, but it'd be nice if we could drop that big bag off in Birmingham and then go, but we can't go from Birmingham. So in all likelihood, we're going to have to take the big bag. Otherwise, what we'd have to do is split up our trip in general. So we'd have to go to Birmingham, spend 2 or 3 days there, then go back to London, then go to Paris and come back and go back to Birmingham. It can become a bit of a mess. So we're working out the details. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, she was over at my house, and she looked up a bunch of stuff, things that we can do, places that we can stay. So I had a Google Doc with some of that information.
Yeah.
I don't
Are
even
you guys
remember it off my head right now.
it or?
I don't think we've decided on that one yet.
All right. Well, let me know, because I just got a platinum card. So there's this thing that they have called Fine Hotels and Resorts. Plugging my own brain right now. Jesus. Fine Hotels and Resorts is this hotel program they have where it's not any more expensive if you booked these same hotels with I don't know, Orbitz or what have you, it's another booking sort of site.
Yeah.
But because you're using my platinum card and we're booking it through the portal, you get free, really special and awesome amenities free breakfast for 2 every day, or $100 massage voucher for 2. Guaranteed late check-in and late checkout.
Yeah.
Free Wi-Fi, all that stuff that other people don't have access to.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, so I'll send you that as well, and then you can decide if it's something you guys want to take advantage of, or because I feel like Airbnb is really nice too. Like we had an amazing experience with Airbnb, and
Yeah, we did in Rio, and then even I did in LA about a month or so ago.
yeah, like I think Airbnb is definitely something that's worth exploring, like as a first option now, because it's
Yeah.
always nice to just have like your own place.
See, that's the thing. I like so it's nice at hotels, to have them be able to, to have room or housekeeping come in, clean, clean up and whatnot, and give you new sheets. But you don't really need that per se, right? Like I don't. When I sleep at home, it's not like I'm changing my sheets every single day,
Right.
and so
And I'll be honest with you, if they give me the option to, I'll always like when I was the last time I was traveling for work, I was staying at the Westin, so that's an SPG property,
yeah,
and I would like use my SPG card and all that stuff, and like I was getting like the points and what have you. I thought I was gonna be traveling a lot more. I guess I wasn't. It turned out to be that case, but which kind of sucks. 'Cause I don't want that card anymore. Um,
yeah,
but they're like you can either choose to get free like new sheets every day. Like they're like, oh, we'll still make your bed, but like we won't like give you fresh towels every day because you won't like I only use the one towel and I have seven. Um, if you decide to forego that and sort of like the green venture that everyone's sort of going with, then
yeah,
we'll give you free points. So similar to like if you were to use your credit card and get the points off of the spend,
yeah.
you can get it this way. It's like, oh yeah, give me the points. I'll take the
That,
points. It's like 500 points a day.
wow,
It's like, dude, that's a lot of points.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, please give me the points, please, please, please. Um, I said please 3 times. Uh, but no, that's cool. I don't have any trips planned like internationally that I know of yet. I think the most finalized trip is China at the end of the year.
Okay.
I think China's going to be at the end of the year. I know I'm going to San Francisco to see a good friend of mine in July, like the last weekend in July.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what I want to do in July because July is also my birthday. So my birthday's on the 15th, and I've always talked about wanting to go to the beach, like just renting a place for the weekend and like having people just come and just like it'd be fun to like chill by the beach and like relax at night, but just getting out of the city.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
July 4th last year we did this thing where we rented a house in the Catskills, and it was just
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just like cooking over an open fire by the river, setting up fireworks and just like all that stuff just seemed like it was a lot of fun. Didn't seem like it was a lot of fun. So
Yep.
July could be like really busy because every weekend I might just be out. But the good news is with my company, they give us these summer Fridays. So I get 4 full days off or 8 half days off. And I might just take like all of them in July, like every Friday. I'll only work 4 day weeks in July or something.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what was sort of ironic is I was really nervous that I would be traveling a lot this year. Sort of if we were to take 2014 into account, uh, if we were to model this year off of last year, I'd be traveling a ton. So like I told you earlier, I got my passport sort of appended so
Yeah.
that
Got all those new pages.
I got all those new pages and it's great, but I haven't done a single thing yet. But I needed to do it because my passport expires in 2019, so there's still like a lot of time to do a lot of traveling.
Right. Still got a few years. Wow. I'm sorry, but that was amazing. New Orleans.
What
Did that
happened?
not count? Yeah, it could count. So there was 2 seconds left, and someone on New Orleans. It's 2 seconds left in the third quarter. I'm not even sure who it was. He launches a three from just past half court when he still had like 2 seconds to run, and I was like, "That's a dumb shot," and it went in.
Oh wow! Hey man, when you feel it, you feel it.
I guess. I don't think he was aware of how much time was left. I think he thought it was over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel you. I'm actually doing one more trip too. I forgot about this one.
Where you going?
My cousin's getting married in I think it's what is it, October 3rd, I believe.
Okay.
So I get back from England with Lena on September 22nd. Like maybe it's the 23rd. I don't even know if we get back on the day on the 23rd or 22nd. And then about like a week and a half later, my cousin's getting married, and the wedding's going to be in Mexico. So I think we're going to fly out to San Diego,
Nice.
and then because that's where
Drive
they're
down.
from. They're from San Diego, and the bride, she, I don't know if she was born in Mexico, but she has family in Mexico, so the wedding will be there. So I think the plan is to drive down there. So we'll drive to the border, then like take a shuttle or whatever it would be,
Yeah.
to
Tijuana.
I don't know. I don't. It's not Tijuana. I don't remember what the city was though. I don't. I think the invite's downstairs. But I've never been to Mexico before, so that'd be really cool.
Mexico can be beautiful depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Um, I my spring break senior year, we all went to Cabo,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it was great because we rented a car and we were literally driving at the tip of Baja, Mexico, like that. You know that little like strip of land that sort of is separate from Mexico as it slopes down, but it's a really skinny piece of land.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the tip of that. So we drove our car through the desert next to the ocean, and it was so beautiful. We saw where the actual Hotel California and all that stuff. Got some really good food. We ended up finding out by one of the locals where we were eating that there was an old private beach that used to be the president of Mexico's.
He had his
But-
own private beach.
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
all you gotta do is like it's an unmarked exit off of the highway. You drive through the desert, and the desert becomes a jungle. Park your car, and then walk through the jungle, and then it's like this pristine, like beach that's sort of enclosed
Yeah.
by like mountains. And we were there for like it was the most amazing thing. It was called Tiger Sand Beach because the way the water sort of flowed from like a adjacent river that flowed into the ocean, the way it picked up silt and laid it down along the current, it looked like tiger stripes.
How so you got to go there?
We got to go there.
Was it like packed? Were there a lot of people there?
We were the only ones there.
That's amazing.
I think it used to be their. It used to be private property a long, long time ago, but
yeah.
now it's just open to everyone.
Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I found this thing online with regards to travel. It was a Game of Thrones. Like, do you want to see where all the locations where they shoot the show?
Yeah.
And then you can like sort of decide like, do you want to see where Dorne is based off of? The Red Keep, because the Red Keep's in Croatia, and you fly to Dubrovnik or something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But can't really seem to get anyone to go. And I think it's also tough because everyone's schedules are so different, Like long, long time ago, there was that story of me finding that gift, that dude's Christmas gift along the street, right, the side of the
Yes.
street,
Yes.
and he gave my friend and I both a $500 gift certificate, like an Amex gift card.
Wow. Nice.
But we were gonna save it for a trip because December of last year we were thinking, oh man, wouldn't it be awesome if we like use this money for Machu Picchu or something?
Yeah.
Like $500 off of any trip is just basically like so amazing.
Yeah.
But it's already like mid-April and we haven't like she's traveling a lot for work and I'm pulling a lot of late hours. Like it's just not looking like it's going to be feasible for us to travel together.
Yeah.
So I've been really thinking about not throwing, but just redistributing those funds towards a new suit. Because basically the suit would come out to be either at that point based on any alterations that need to get done. The base price of the suit could be either free or like around $50.
Nice.
And that's a great deal.
Yeah.
Just to have a suit, basically bought and paid for by somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, sadly, I only have one suit right now because I don't need to wear a suit to work.
Right.
But
Understandable.
yeah, I just think it's nice to have more than one suit, so that when you go out, that not go out, but like when you dress up for certain functions, uh you're not in every picture um with the same suit.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Not trying to look like a scrub.
What color suit do you have right now?
I have this blue suit that's uh that's real good because it's it looks really well. It looks really good with like tan shoes.
Okay.
Um, I'm thinking about getting. I definitely need like a. I was thinking like a charcoal suit. Um, Charcoal suit could be good. Black could be good. I was thinking more of like textured suits, like maybe houndstooth
Okay.
or something crazy. Something with a little bit more character to it. I was looking at brown suits too, not
Yeah.
like light brown in any sense, but what's it called? Like something with a pattern on it,
Yeah.
like a subtle pattern. Sort of, honestly, sort of like the Mad Men suits. I mean, not like that old timey,
No,
definitely.
it's funny because that's kind of what I was thinking. What you were going to say.
Yeah, but something of that nature. And I know a great suit place. It's called Suit Supply, and they do a really good job. And I really like I really liked how we worked. Not we worked. How we the shopping experience last time.
Yeah.
So I think it's a place I'm going to hit up again.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man. What else? I think
I
that's.
was
Go
I
ahead.
was just thinking about that dude the post that I see on Reddit. We talked a little bit about it on chat, but I guess we could talk about it here briefly. The it was talking about I think it was Sony was upset, and they had contacted Netflix basically saying that they need to crack down on people using VPNs to access geographically locked content. So people like in the U.S. might watch something on Netflix that's only viewable if you live in Australia, for example. And a lot of people do this, like especially with that plugin or that the app Ola. People are able to watch tons of stuff on Netflix that you otherwise wouldn't be able to watch, like Nightcrawler, that movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal that came out just this past was it winter, maybe fall.
Nightcrawler's on Netflix already.
It's on Netflix in like Canada or something like that.
Oh,
And so if people,
that's true. Because when
if
we
you
were
use
watching Netflix in Brazil, I could watch Suits, but the second I got
exactly,
here, there was no Suits.
exactly. Although it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
So people were saying this is exactly why people torrent. This is exactly why people torrent, because they want, they're gonna, if they're not gonna be able to get it for, like, this is what the rationale was. If if you charge me, if you say I have to pay $10 for something, I'm not gonna buy it for $10. I don't think it's worth $10, even $5. But if I can get something for free, then I'll watch it. And that's kind of like their reasoning for being able to watch it. Well, I'm not going to pay for it anyway. So if I had no way to access this content, then I just wouldn't pay for it. I just wouldn't watch it. And I'm just sitting there thinking, well, that might work. Like, it's kind of what we were talking about when it came to pay what you want. That works if you're trying to build like a new fan base, you're trying to gain followers or something like that. But if I'm Michael Bay, if it's like the new Transformers movie, which is what his example was, then what's the studio that produces that? What is it, Sony, whatever it is? They
I believe so.
they don't care if you're not going to watch that otherwise. You either pay for it or you don't pay for it. So you either see it or you don't see it.
Right.
I just think it's silly that people try to justify pirating content. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I've never pirated something because I have. I pirated plenty of stuff.
I think we
Although I've
all
been trying to
have.
cut down lately. I guess not just try, I actually have cut down significantly on pirating. But I'm not going to sit here and say there was, I was justified in doing it. I know I was wrong. I just don't know why people can't admit that it's wrong from to pirate stuff just because they're cheap or they're lazy or whatever it is. I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I think that pirating is just people wanting things without wanting to pay for things.
And, and maybe in bulk too, because if I can, like, if I want like 10 movies, I'll have to pick and choose, one or two movies to get at one time. But if I can just pirate them, I can get all 10.
Right. But see, then again, it's just you wanting things without having to pay for it.
Right.
And you feeling like people like that just means that you don't value, like there's a valuation disconnect there. You feel like you feel like you definitely want to experience it, but you don't feel like you're willing to pay for it. To me, that's really off. Now, granted, we've all pirated things before, like you said.
Yeah.
But like you, I'm definitely I'm definitely paying for stuff now. With Spotify, I pay it every month. I value it more than what I'm paying. So even if they created a higher tier of stuff, like if they went like a title route and they like gave me like lossless FLAC somehow, then I would pay that $20 for Spotify. But I'm not doing that for title.
Yeah.
I think title is like one of the bigger scams on the market right now.
So hold on, explain title to me exactly. I talked a little bit about this with Elena. It's basically Spotify, but started up by just a bunch of musicians.
It's basically Spotify that's owned by Jay-Z, who bought it from a Swedish person.
Okay.
And it's sort of run by musicians, quote unquote. They recently just announced that they're released 25 people along with a CEO. So there's some structural changes that they're going through, and they believe it's basically they say that they can so you can stream like lossless FLAC files.
Oh, I see.
And which would be really cool because music does obviously sound a lot different. That's why vinyl sounds so great.
Yeah.
But there was such like pomp and circumstance with the with like the keynote that they were doing. How like everyone was thinking they were going to change the world, and it was just crazy because it's Jay-Z's company. He spent $57 million on it. It's not. I don't think it's geared towards them really. Like they shouldn't be espousing like the whole like I'm a poor artist.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking.
They're no longer that. They've gone past that. It makes more sense if you were a lesser known band to have like these files up there as well. But it looks like they're only doing it for them and their friends.
Right. So you got like Kanye, and I heard that Kanye's CD is going to be exclusive on Tidal for like the first month or two.
Oh, Jesus.
So good luck trying to get that on Spotify, I guess. So I was wondering.
But that's crazy from a distribution standpoint.
Right. But another thing that I wondered is how I just heard that Taylor Swift's library is not on Spotify. No. And I was wondering, was it like, I was like, well, then is it everyone on her record label? And it's not the case. It's just her. How did she say that she didn't want her music on Spotify anymore?
She didn't want it anymore because she's a multi-platinum artist.
Right. People are going to, but like, how is it that she's able to say like individually, like, is she able to go to her record label and say, I don't want to be on Spotify, take me off from there?
Or she just went directly to Spotify and said, I don't want my stuff on here anymore. And then they, without her consent or whatever the contract was, if they terminated that contract, then I guess that's possible.
I guess I wonder, I don't even know how, like I know how Spotify works. I know how they make money. I just don't know how they get the licenses for all the music that they get or that they have available. because from what I understand, the artists only make fractions of a penny per play. Like you need to have millions of plays on songs in order to make anything that's
Yeah, I think it's
like a decent type
10,000
of.
streams
Uh huh.
is $10 or something like that,
Yeah.
or 10,000 streams is an album sale.
Yeah. Right. And that's a lot. That's a lot of streams. That's like a lot. And so I just wonder how much Spotify has to pay, and like how much they make per ad. I don't know.
That's interesting. I actually don't know that.
It'd be cool to know some of those numbers, but I don't know. I just I do love Spotify though.
I'm a big fan of Spotify. I'm on that stuff. It's the first thing I open in the morning when I'm like still like groggy and waking up.
Yeah.
I start blasting music. I listen to it on my way into the office. I listen to it at the office. I listen to it on my way home. I listen to it when I work out, and then I listen to it when I go to bed.
So did you have Spotify? Did you use Spotify this much before this winter when you got the 99-cent promotion for 3 months?
No, I had it on my computer,
Yeah.
but I never really used it because the ads are really annoying. Because it never felt like you get into a good groove
I see.
of music. So it was just like, oh, like 2 songs, random like ad, and then it was like, oh, another ad. Oh, like we're gonna follow up that ad with another ad. It's like it's just stupid. Just and I don't like I should have been paying for it a lot earlier because at that point I was still torrenting music.
Yeah.
Like I won't lie, I have maybe like 100,000 songs that I've torrented ever.
That's a lot.
In my old iPod, like it's filled with just all music has basically been torrented. There's like less than maybe 5-6% of music that were album based. And for a while, I sort of said to myself, well, I'll buy the albums of the people I really like.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then like, oh well, I'll go see the shows of the people I really like. But you're still stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Just like pirating movies. Like I've pirated dozens and dozens of movies.
Yeah.
But now, like I've been a really big movie junkie, but in terms of subscription-based services, what do I do? Xbox Live, right?
Yeah.
I guess you can't really torrent that. But Spotify, Netflix, HBO Go. Well, basically HBO because we all split our
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. Like, there's a couple of things that like I get bopped with every month. It's like, oh yeah, don't even worry about it because I'm totally using all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things like as we get more and more affluent, it's like yeah, totally okay with paying for this now.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the wrong way to look at it as well, right? Because just because you're it's like, oh, I'm poor, so I'll steal is like not a logical debate point or argument,
Yeah.
I would say.
I actually started using Spotify too at that same time. Unfortunately, I had used a free month on Spotify before, so it cost me $10 for 3 months, but that was still a good enough deal for me.
Yeah.
I think that was a great promo on their part because when I still listen to Spotify a lot at work, but I've also transitioned from listening to podcasts a lot in the morning, like when I'm driving, because I do an hour commute per day. I'm listening to Spotify a lot more on the commute as opposed to podcasts. And then it's also great for it when I'm at the gym because I can just pick and choose whatever songs I want to listen to.
Yeah.
I used to do Pandora a lot. I still use Pandora some, but I think it's too good of a deal with Spotify. Not to mention the fact that I found out that they have a student membership too, which is $5 a month.
Oh wow! What?
Yeah. So I'll be able to. I paid this month for 10, but next month I'll try to switch to the student one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know there was a student discount.
My brother mentioned it when we were in LA, and I completely forgot about it. And I told him that I had I decided to stick with it. And he was like, "Oh, what happened to the student one?" And I was like, "Oh, I completely forgot about it." So
Yeah.
I think
Just like there's a student membership for Amazon Prime, although you don't get the streaming service.
no, you get the streaming service. You can't share. You can't share your Amazon Prime with people. So I have the student Amazon Prime as well. And what if you have the regular Amazon Prime? You can actually give people. You can gift people the 2-day shipping, even if they don't have Amazon Prime.
I don't know. You could gift people the 2-day shipping.
Yeah, so like you can share it with people. It's almost like Netflix, right? If I share my password with you, you can use it. But like say I didn't have Amazon Prime and you paid for the full $150, you can give my account 2-day shipping.
Oh wow.
And I don't know if it's like if you share the streaming as well, but I think you can share the 2-day shipping with like your parents or your sister, for example.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I can't. So as a student, I still get the streaming. I still get like Amazon Video. I have Amazon Music. I get all that, but I can't share with other people. So like
Do you
Lena,
use Amazon Music?
I did, and then I stopped because when I got my new phone, the app wasn't compatible with the phone. I just downloaded it again recently because they updated it so it works for my phone now, but I haven't used it since like Thanksgiving.
Gotcha.
I liked the idea of it initially, and then I realized their music library wasn't as great as I thought it was. It's
Right.
cool, but at the same time, it still does something kind of cool, I guess. Kind of like what Spotify is able to do is introduce me to new music or new old music, because that's what Amazon Music has a lot of, just like older like classic rock albums,
Yeah.
like old hip hop stuff like that. And so it's really good. Like you can just find a CD, download it, and you kind of own it essentially.
That's really nice.
And the nice thing about it too is you can download it to your phone as well. So you don't have to stream it. It kind of like that's what Spotify does too. When you have Prime, or Premium, you can download it to your phone. But that's what I liked about the Amazon Music. I was able to just download full CDs to my phone.
I just find it weird that I was getting like all these different music libraries from different places. Like it was a very big culture shift for me to move everything off of iTunes. Now
Yeah.
my iTunes is basically empty.
I see.
And I just do the local save feature of Spotify
Yeah.
if I need to pull songs down, which I found I needed to do because when I work out in the gym in my building, it has no service. So like I can't even listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
I can't load anything. So that's why I definitely need to save down songs, and I find that it's nice because you can choose to like which songs you want to save down or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm done with this album, like not available offline anymore, and you're done with those files.
Yeah. I have several different apps. So I used to have a Zune, right? I was getting an MP3 player, and I had the choice of an iPod and a Zune, and I was like, oh, the Zune looks cool. Let me get that, which was a mistake. Just because it wasn't as well supported as iTunes. And then
Gotcha.
so I kept all that music local for however long, and I just kept using the Zune software. And then Google Music came out, and Google Music lets you upload up to 10,000 songs to Google servers, and then you can listen to them whenever you want. And that was really awesome too when I got my first smartphone, because I was able to download CDs to my phone from Google Music and just listen to them. And there were CDs that I owned, or whether I torrented or bought them. It didn't matter. I was able to download them to my phone and listen to them just fine. But I stopped using Google Music almost completely because it is too slow. Like, and I guess it's probably just because it's streaming a higher quality audio.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't stream very well. I know Spotify is very lossy in terms of you can easily tell. Like if I look at my data usage, if I listen to Google Play for like a week of music, just a week straight, and then I listen to Spotify for a week straight, the data usage is probably like a third with Spotify as compared to the Google Music. Then I bought some CDs off of Amazon, and I have some stuff from Amazon Music, but it's not enough for me to even really feel like I don't even need to transition those or shift those over to Google Music. It's
Gotcha.
relatively easy for me to manage most of the stuff. Most of everything is on Google Music though.
Yeah, Spotify files are really light, which for me is fine. I also
Yeah,
have like an iPhone 5S, so the amount of space that I have on it is very little.
I see. How much
Uh,
do you have? Is it 16?
16, yeah.
Okay.
So like I'm not even on iOS 8 yet. Like I'm so behind with
Is that
everything
wait? How come you're not on iOS 8? iOS
because
8.
I had iOS 7
Uh
with the
huh.
5S, and then in order to get the update, it's 5 gigs of space that I need,
Oh,
and like also my hardware is not optimized for it, so it's like I'm not even gonna do it.
when are you gonna update?
I think what's today? April? In like 4 months.
Okay,
So I'll just write it out.
gotcha. At that point, is the new iPhone will be out, right? It usually comes out the end of summer. That's about 4 months from now, right?
Yeah, I'll just get one of those. It's usually like the what? It could be the iPhone 7? No.
I don't know if they're gonna call it the 7. They usually do like the 5 and then 5S, but then
They did
they
that
had the
already.
6 and 6S in the same year. So I don't know. Yeah,
Um,
mine's 64, but my old phone was I think 32. But what I've noticed is that my podcasts, they don't clear as frequently. I could change it in the podcast manager that I have. I just don't really bother because it's not that big of a deal. But I'm much closer to my I'm just I say I have probably like 8 gigs of free space on this phone, but on my old phone I had like 8 gigs of free space too. But I'm not really like struggling for space right now. I think it's the biggest scam that they charge such ridiculous price differences, like $100. I think between like the iPhone like 32 gig and iPhone 64 gig now.
yeah, dude,
It's
absolutely.
it's not it's not like it doesn't cost that much.
It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. But that's just the market. The market will just tell you what people are willing to pay, and
Yeah,
up until this point, they've all been willing to pay that. So
yeah,
what can you do? Um, I think that's all I have for this week.
yeah. Probably rambling too much at this point anyway.
Nah, you're not rambling. It's all good.
It's all
Um,
gravy, baby.
it's all gravy. It's all good in the hood, baby. Yeah. Should we
Yeah, wrap it up here.
let's wrap it up here then.
All right. Well, I'm Reza.
I'm Sandy. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week.